Hello, Jason.
Yes.
Jason, how can I help you today?
Hello. Question. I'm having the creditor. It's about a $20,000 credit card bill. I'm trying to negotiate with him.
Okay.
How much will he get if I go bankrupt? What do these credit card companies get these days?
Funny you should ask that, Jason. It would all depend on if you go Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. Let me ask you a couple quick questions. Maybe we can narrow it down.
Sure.
Okay. Do you own your own home?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, no. It's the mortgage is in my wife's name, so no.
Okay. Is the deed in your name?
Whatever. In Florida, we're legally married, so whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but
I think I'm on the deed, but not on the mortgage.
Okay, but you're living there, and you plan on keeping living there, right? Or keep living there? Perfect. Do you own vehicles? Yeah. How many vehicles are in the household that your name is on?
We own one vehicle outright, and we lease a second vehicle.
Okay. And then the lease, obviously, there's no equity in that. So
Right.
let's look at the one that you own. There's no debt on that at all?
No debt. It's worth $5,000-$10,000 at the most.
Okay, let's for today's purpose, let's get $7,500. We'll split the difference.
Sure.
How about personal property? Let's say you sold everything tomorrow at a garage sale in your house, not counting the cars and not counting the physical structure. What would you get for it?
All I have is a big TV and a computer and a 10-year-old furniture.
Okay, so now, do you and your wife have any joint debt?
No. Well, my wife has student loans, but no. The only debt I have is one. I had two credit cards. I negotiated one and settled with them.
Okay.
Now I'm dealing with Suncoast schools, federal schools, and they're playing hardball.
That's what they do. And it's not only you. They're not picking on you. They play hardball with everybody. But anyway,
Yeah.
All right, let's focus this. Now, if you and your wife don't have any joint debt, okay, how long you been married?
10 years.
Okay. Florida has a special exemption or a special protection. The exemption's out there for everybody. It's called tenancy by the entireties. This is a often misunderstood exemption. So when I'm looking at your case, I'm saying, okay, we got Jason's property, we got the wife's property, and then we've got marital property. Now, you got to think of it this way. If your creditor, if that Suncoast came after you and they got a judgment against you for 20 grand, okay, and it's not a joint debt, they can't touch marital assets, and they can't touch your wife's assets. So if we take them off the board, what does Jason own individually?
Beautiful 1986 21-foot Mako that's paid for, that's just sitting there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's it.
When I asked you about assets, you didn't tell me about that.
Yeah, I forgot about the boat. But, yeah, it's sitting there. It's worth $5,000 probably.
Okay, so you got a boat worth $5 grand. Okay. Now the
I was
vehicle.
thinking about selling it to my son for $1 or something.
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
we
good
don't
man.
do that, Jason. We don't
Good
do
man,
that.
Good man.
No, you don't want to do that. That's very, very bad. But anyway, the boat. Let's say it's worth $5 grand. Now the car you were talking about before, is that worth about $7,500? Is that in your name or your wife's name, or is it a joint name?
My name personally.
Okay. So you're looking at about 10 grand right there in assets. Okay.
Yep.
Now the question is whether or not any of those assets can be brought into play in the bankruptcy court, because you're allowed to exempt all of the marital assets. They don't count. You're allowed to exempt $1,000 of personal property under your name. And the question is if your name is on that house or not. If your name's not on that house, then I'm going to apply for a wild card exemption for you, okay, which would allow me to exempt up to $5,000 of personal property. So just on a quick bankruptcy analysis without getting into too much depth, I know I've got to pay back at least $5 grand in that bankruptcy.
Okay.
Minimum. Or
Right.
maybe $7,500, in that general range. So the question would be is, are you better off going bankrupt or negotiating with Suncoast at that point in time? Well, I don't know all the facts, but this is how I analyze a case. Okay? And if Suncoast is unwilling to do that, then I'm going to look at other things. If they get a judgment against you, can they garnish your wages?
Nope. Not working. Unemployed.
Okay, so that's out the window. Are there any bank accounts in Jason's name?
Yep. $100, $200.
Okay.
Nothing of any size.
Yeah, that's not going to get Suncoast too far. Do you see what I mean?
No.
So if I can exclude all those assets and I can get you into a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, it may be well worth your while rather than going into a payment plan with Suncoast. But then the question I would have to look at is a little bit further, saying, is this in your best interest financially going forward? Even though we know, Jason, that you could pay less to Suncoast short term, is a bankruptcy long term okay for you? Do you see what I mean?
Right.
And that's something that takes a little bit more time. But I think in your case, you can go back to Suncoast. Suncoast doesn't really care if you throw out the bankruptcy card and you say, well, I've spoken to a bankruptcy attorney and I can get rid of this debt. Suncoast, they'll call your bluff on that. And if you're not really, I always say, don't pull a gun unless you're going to pull the trigger.
Amen. Yep.
So you've heard that one, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
I learned that one from my father-in-law. Anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think he said that when I was dating his daughter, so you got to be careful about that. But in your case,
shotgun in the room anyway.
Exactly. It worked. Whatever it was, it worked. But the way it works out is when we're analyzing a case for bankruptcy purposes, it's a before bankruptcy. It's what can I do in the bankruptcy, and is this the right strategy to employ going forward? If you know what I mean. So in your case, it definitely wouldn't hurt for you to sit down with an attorney for a free consultation and figure out whether or not this is the right thing for you. You're kind of like not in the gray area.
You sound like the right guy. I gave you an ethics thing, and you didn't fall for it. So
you gave me what?
You're the guy. If you don't mind, I'm going to call and make an appointment tomorrow.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say about the? I didn't fall for it.
I kind of threw an ethical thing at you, and you caught it right away and said, no. So that's who I need. I need a good guy.
I appreciate that. There's, unfortunately, in a situation like this, people get into like asset protection mode. The bottom line is the worst thing you could ever do before you file bankruptcy is start playing the title game. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give this to my brother. And no. Worst thing you can do. You don't want to get caught in that game.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
I appreciate your call. Is there anything else I can do for you?
Yeah, winning lottery numbers.
Yeah.
Give it.
I'm going to give those to my kid.
You're doing a great job. I appreciate you. I know you're one of the big ones in town. So
I appreciate that. You talking about my weight or?
No. We see your signs. We see your billboards. I don't know how old those billboards are, but
why?
They work.
I guess I get my gray hair from my staff. I don't know.
There you go.
Not the clients. But anyway, Jason, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. You take care.